Studio 31.
This is Southern New England's trusted news source, ABC6 News at 6.
Tonight at ABC6 News at 6, one day after Mayor DeLuca called for the firing of middle school principal in the city, upset parents now looking for the person to resign. Why they are not happy.
Plus, a fire ravaging a barn in North Smithfield tonight. The officer on his way to work that called 911. And a live report from Boston as Celtics fans gather for a watch party in the city for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. We'll get to those stories shortly, but first tonight on ABC6 News at 6, surprising news from the Department of Health this afternoon. The interim director, Dr. James McDonald, stepping down at the end of the month. Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm John DeLuca. And I'm Tiffany Murphy. This comes just months after former health director Dr. Nicole Alexander Scott resigned from the position as well. ABC6 News reporter Dominique Turner spoke with Dr. McDonald today and has more on that story.
After 10 years with the Department of Health, Dr. James McDonald is stepping down, citing healthcare concerns within his own family. But with McDonald resigning, there are concerns over who will be taking the reins next for the Department of Health. Interim Director of the Rhode Island Department of Health, Dr. James McDonald, stepping down from his position Thursday.
We had to make this very difficult decision, but it was really about what was best for my family.
Dr. McDonald telling ABC6 News he's leaving to move closer to his family in upstate New York after his mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
You know, when I looked at my mom's situation with her Alzheimer's decline and my dad, quite frankly, at 91, struggling to kind of just hold this together.
McDonald joined the health department 10 years ago and during the pandemic became a familiar face who spoke at news conferences under both former Governor Gina Raimondo and current Governor Dan McKee. McDonald took over as the head of the department after Dr. Nicole Alexander Scott resigned earlier this year.
And it was great to be a voice for the state during the pandemic. You know, it's just fun to have been in your living rooms, quite frankly. It's been fun to meet people on the streets. Wherever I go, people say, hey, you're that guy on TV. And I've enjoyed that story as well. It's been kind of fun for me.
McDonald says his last day is Saturday, June 25th, but he'll be taking unused vacation time until July 29th.
My future job isn't quite finalized yet. We're just going through the end of the vetting process. But when it gets announced, I think what people say is, oh, that makes sense. He did something that makes sense. Because I still need to work.
Governor Dan McKee thanking McDonald for his work, saying in part, Rhode Islanders have come to know, love, and trust Dr. McDonald for his easy-to-understand explanations and simple tips. McDonald's final message to Rhode Islanders.
I think if there's one thing I would just encourage everybody to look at is like, maybe just take a moment to look at what your life is and really celebrate what you have in front of you. And maybe subtract some of the noise that's going on around it.
A spokesperson within the governor's office tells me that they'll have more to say in the next coming weeks about the search for a permanent replacement. In Providence, I'm Dominique Turner, ABC6 News.
Upset parents taking to the streets of Providence this morning protesting the lack of response at Nathaniel Green Middle School last week. Parents we spoke with say they want to see the principal resign immediately. Last night, the district held a meeting over Zoom to discuss what happened last week involving a recent lockdown after it was thought a student may have had a gun at the school. But parents claim they didn't get enough time to voice their opinions in that Zoom meeting last night.
I don't believe that you should be managing a school where there's a possibility of a firearm being on the premises and you don't notify law enforcement for 90 minutes. We don't want to be parents burying our kids because someone sat on a situation for 90 minutes.
The superintendent did release a statement saying, in part, while we strongly disagree with the summary Mayor DeLuca provided on last week's school lockdown at Green, we do agree that school security is priority number one. Also out of Providence, the mayor's office announcing the mayor tested positive for COVID-19. We're told he has mild symptoms and tested positive after using an at-home COVID test. According to the mayor's office, he is fully vaccinated and boosted. He'll be working remotely for the next few days.
A dog rescued from a fire on Early Street this morning. Fire crews responding to that home just before 9 o'clock this morning. We're told the flames started in the garage and then they spread to the back of the house. No one was home at the time. That dog was rescued from the first floor. The cause of that fire is still being investigated.
In North Smithfield, a massive fire breaking out inside a barn at the Phoenix Rising Horse Farm overnight. The owners tell ABC6 News they didn't even know about the fire until they were awoken by the sound of emergency crews. Think of how frightening that is. Well, that fire quickly moving to 3 alarms. And what do you know? A Woonsocket police officer who happened to be heading into work was the one who spotted the flames and called it in.
It was just a coincidence. I was on my way to work and I was in the right place, right time, and Yeah, I talked to the fire chief earlier this morning, and he just let me know. I was one of the only phone calls, and they got there pretty quick right after, and it looked pretty bad when I was driving by, and thankfully they were able to contain it within the hour and make sure it didn't get any worse.
No animals were inside the barn at the time. It's more of an arena, we're told, used to ride horses. The building, though, is a total loss.
New tonight at 6 o'clock, the Bristol County Sheriff's Office warning of a new phone scam. They say a scammer called a woman's home. The caller ID said it was the sheriff's office, but the scammer spoofed the number. The crooks said that woman had a warrant for her arrest for failing to testify. The victim ended up paying scammers $2,000 worth of cryptocurrency. Tonight, the sheriff's office is warning the public that that scam is not an isolated incident and says the sheriff's office will never call you demanding payment.
Well, the Mass DOT announcing the New Bedford-Fairhaven Bridge will be closed Saturday morning from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Closed all day. The bridge will be closed so a production crew can shoot a movie. Now, drivers are reminded they cannot stop their vehicles on the bridge to watch what's going on. Now, if the weather is lousy, the filming and detour will happen on Sunday.
Jeff Desnoyers, I'm sure a lot of folks have questions like what film is that and how will the weather be for that filming?
I'm asking what the film is more than the weather. I got the weather thing. I hopefully got that down. I think the weekend will be nice. We just got to get there. Tracking some rain right now, and it looks like it's just ready to crush Rhode Island, but it's kind of moving not due east. It's more like a southeasterly movement. So Rhode Island beaches actually will have a better chance than, say, southeastern Mass beaches with this little slug of rain. And you really have to be south of Providence to get this. It's a very select area of rainfall. But westerly get wet right now. Charlestown as well, right along Route 1. Areas just into Richmond, probably a little rain on your doorstep right now. Nothing terribly heavy, but much needed rain. This is the first of 2 waves of rain before we get to the weekend. Temperatures right now in the 60s. We did have some 70s earlier. There was a little sunshine at times for areas north of Providence. Scattered showers tonight, mainly south of Providence, 50s, and scattered showers mainly closer to the coast, 50s for you in southeastern Mass. And then another round of rain comes in for the morning and early afternoon tomorrow, and that gets everybody wet with temperatures around 70 degrees. And the best part, we move it all out of here in time for the weekend. I'll have the latest on Saturday and Sunday coming right up, John.
Yeah, get that rain out of here and line us up for a nice weekend. Thank you, Jeff. Well, it may be June 2nd. I know it's June 2nd, but really it's Christmas Eve for Celtics fans everywhere. Game 1 watch parties are happening all over the place, including right in the heart of Boston at Faneuil Hall. ABC6 News reporter Olivia DaRocha joins us now live in Boston, where fans are really excited for the game. Olivia.
Well, John and Tiffany, there are already fans lining up at bars around TD Garden. And keep in mind, this game is not for another 3 hours. So that alone should just tell you how excited Boston fans are tonight for Game 1 against the Golden State Warriors. Tip-off is at 9 o'clock. Now, Celtics are not expected to win this series. That is what some people are saying. But if you know anything about Boston sports, you should not rule us out. Boston fans excited for tonight, hoping to bring home 2 wins when they come home to play here at the TD Garden on Wednesday. Now, here's some good news. Of the last 10 games the Celtics have faced off against the Warriors, the Celtics have won 6 of those. We will take that. Now, the most recent win was this year, Celtics winning by 22 points. Now, fans tonight, of course, like we've been saying, getting pumped hours before the game. We were here at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and fans were already around, excited for tonight and expecting that big win.
I'm pretty confident. I think they can pull it out. They got the defense to do it, so I don't see why not. I think Game 1 win is doable.
Probably not, though. Southeast in 6.
6? It's what we got. It's what we love. Nothing else matters. It's the Celtics, it's the Red Sox, it's the Patriots, it's the Bruins, even though I grew up a Whalers fan.
All right, you heard there, even our fluffy little friend there rooting for the Celtics, betting on this Game 6 win. Now, Game 3 back here in Boston on Wednesday, and according to StubHub, there are still a lot of tickets if you were looking for one of those. 3,400 tickets left. The average, $795. You might want to start saving up for that one. Ticket sales have jumped up nearly 60% in just the last 48 hours. Now, of course, Boston fans really hoping to get this championship win. The last championships the Celtics won was 12 years ago. Of course, we know in Boston that is a really long time. And we've been asking fans tonight when we think the Celtics will be able to clinch this series. I would say about 90%. Again, I'm not great at math, but I would say about 90% are saying Celtics in 6. For now, we're live in Boston. Olivia DaRocha, ABC6 News.
Thank you, Olivia. But you are great at estimating. Thank you. And as you can tell, we have the game here tonight on ABC6, Celtics Warriors tonight. Tip-off is at 9 o'clock. Nick Coit, though, will have much more of the game and what to expect coming up in sports.
In other news tonight, 4 train operators injured after 2 Green Line trains collided last night. It happened near the Government Center stop just after 9:20. Now, according to an MBTA spokesperson, a 2-car westbound train with about 25 passengers aboard hit another 2-car train that was going in for service. 4 train operators were taken to Mass General. No word tonight on their condition. No passengers were injured. Shuttle buses replaced Green Line services today.
Still ahead on ABC6 News at 6 with the deadline for rent relief now come and gone. Rhode Islanders need to know if you still need some help.
Plus, the 2022 Providence Teacher of the Year named will take you to that very special ceremony.
And as we've said over and over, the day is finally here. The Celtics in the NBA Finals. The game is here on ABC6. And tonight, Nick is chatting with the one and only Doris Burke for some insight on that big game. That conversation coming up in minutes. You're watching ABC6, Southern New England's trusted news source.
It's back, rush hour traffic. When you plan your trip to Providence or Boston, count on ABC6 Morning News to help you navigate the drive times and alternate routes, starting at 5 a.m.
A rent relief program put in place during the pandemic has now officially ended in Rhode Island. But that, of course, doesn't mean people have stopped struggling to pay their rent or find a place that fits their budget. Here's ABC6 News reporter Emmalyn Reid.
Imagine a knock on the door of a home you've lived in for years, paying rent every month to a person you thought was a landlord, only to learn it was all a scam.
He took it, cashed the checks, then fast forward to March, I got a knock on the door from a private investigator.
Babbage was shocked to learn the home she rented for 3 years was actually a foreclosed property, and the single mother had just until the end of June to move out.
I immediately filed for the rent relief, so looked every day, went and saw probably 20 to 30 apartments.
But in an already strained housing market, Babbage found she couldn't compete without rent relief. According to the Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer at the Rhode Island Department of Housing, the state's rent relief program has provided an average of $6,500 to Rhode Islanders. That program now closing as the state shifts to an endemic stage.
It's so hard to remember back when everything was shut down and businesses were closed and people were out of work. But really, this program was a bridge to the other side, and now we're living with COVID.
Yet those like Babbage who haven't found a home yet in a fiercely competitive market are now learning their pre-approvals, which were granted under that rent relief program, are null and void, making it even harder for her to find a home.
Because I had that letter, they said I would still be able to use it. I received an email yesterday from rent relief telling me, unfortunately, as of today, they are unable to help.
For ABC6 News, I'm Emmalyn Reid.
Now to a focus on our schools, a special surprise ceremony today recognizing the 2022 Teacher of the Year in Providence. Lindsay Paiva is a 3rd grade ESL teacher at Webster Elementary. Superintendent of Schools Javier Montañez was on hand today presenting her with the award.
This has been a really challenging year for everyone, so I'm just really grateful for the ways that everyone has shown up for one another and continue to show up every day. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Math, science, and social studies to 3rd graders. She's been with Webster Elementary for 4 years.
And now, your ABC6 Storm Tracker weather with Chief Meteorologist Jeff Desnoyers.
Before I talk about the rain for tonight, tomorrow, and the weekend sunshine, let's talk about the tropics. We talked about this earlier this week. Hurricane season kicks off June 1st, so we're very early in the season. But look at this, little development. PTC 1, potential tropical cyclone 1. It's just off the coast of Cozumel, and right now this cluster of clouds with thunderstorms, National Hurricane Center is watching it very closely for some development and intensification to become a tropical storm, impacting areas in Florida this weekend, with potentially some heavy rainfall and tropical storm force winds. We don't have any kind of rain like that headed our way, but we have some much needed rain In Westerly right now. This is the ride.cam. Westerly, Rhode Island, Connecticut state line. Some roads that are wet in portions of 95 north and southbound. Not a lot of traffic, but a little rain. And let's get that rain and wash away some of the pollen. That would be nice. If you go outside, you still have a layer of it on your car. You still have a layer of it on your deck or your patio. But the pollen count is low as of right now. We just got to wash it away before it builds back up again on Saturday and Sunday when everybody will be sneezing once again. Temperatures 60s outside for the most part right now. We did manage a few 70s earlier, and there was a little bit of sunshine at times for parts of the area, especially northern Rhode Island, but now pretty much overcast and just waiting on the rainfall to move through. This is one batch of rain through the evening hours, and unfortunately, it's not going completely east. It's doing one of these, and then going like that. So what happens is areas actually, Rhode Island beaches, will have a better chance of rain this evening than, say, areas north, and a little bit better chance than areas, say, of New Bedford, Dartmouth, and Fairhaven, because this rain is doing one of these. It might not make it all the way to you. But if you miss the rain tonight through midnight, you got another chance tomorrow. This is not the only rain in the forecast. So therefore, we should be able to get to about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of rain. Most locations should get a decent rain before we get to the weekend, and we could use it because rain totals are so low for the last couple of months. Yeah, we could use the rain. Certainly could use more than what we're getting tonight. But nonetheless, a little bit of something's better than nothing. Temperatures in the 50s during the overnight. Wake up tomorrow. There'll be a little bit of dryness in the morning with some clouds, but give us some time. The rain will move in by about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And with us through the early afternoon, 60s and low 70s. Scattered showers, not just for Rhode Island, but for southeastern Mass as well. Temperatures really cool east, getting into the 70s as you work your way west. And that's because the winds will be out of the north-northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So there's that swath of rain I just showed you, mainly south of Providence. It will fizzle out here in the next hour or two. Then we just kind of wait. A lot of clouds during the overnight hours. And then by morning, there's that rain off to our west. Starts to zoom in here a little bit closer as we go into the mid to late morning. Continues into the afternoon. Pretty decent soaker for most locations. And then out of here. And once it moves out, we start to clear things out and get back into sunshine. Saturday and Sunday look good. Temperatures in the mid-70s. Keep it going for Monday, 70s and sunny. Spot shower Tuesday, mainly dry. Wednesday and Thursday, a little cloud cover mixes with the sun, but temperatures hold in the 70s throughout the week. Nick.
Thank you, Jeff. Celtics Warriors begin the NBA Finals tonight. We hear from Jason Tatum coming up on the C's, turning things around this season to get here. And we chat one-on-one with ESPN analyst and PC legend Doris Burke about the matchup with the C's need to survive and how Boston's young stars have grown. That and more coming up next in sports.
Meteorologist Chelsea Priest, weekdays on ABC6 News.
Fall River, we make this commitment to you. An accurate forecast, how to plan the next 24 hours and when you can expect the next big weather maker. See 11 minutes of nonstop news and weather turn to 11 at 11, only on ABC6.
ABC6 Sports.
Just a few hours from now in San Francisco, it's Celtics and Warriors, Game 1, right here on ABC6. And after the C's beat the Heat and won the East, we had a chance to chat with someone who knows this league inside and out. Here's our conversation with ESPN analyst and PC legend Doris Burke, getting us ready for the NBA Finals.
When you first think about that matchup, what stands out to you?
Probably the elite defenses of both teams and the bigger challenge that Boston faces against Golden State, because you had a middling offensive team in the half court facing Miami. Now you're looking up against elite shooting. And what Golden State requires from you is not only physical stamina, but mental stamina, because you can do an incredible job with your switches, with your communication, with your challenges, with your closeouts. And Steph Curry and Klay Thompson can still stick a three in your eye, and you gotta just stick with it. You know, they require you to have great emotional stamina, so that's a big challenge.
But for Boston, throughout this postseason, the challenges that they've faced,
yeah.
What impresses you about their defense and the way they are able to go up against the top talent in the world?
The first thing I'd start with is Ime Udoka, because there's an equanimity about him. He is not afraid to get in their face. He's not afraid to repeatedly show you on film what you've done wrong, and they've responded to the coach. And that's the first part of coaching. Are your guys responding? The second thing is, in the 5 starters that they start, do you know what they give up? 95.5 points per 100 possessions. Like, that, folks, is elite.
In terms of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, what have you seen maybe is the difference for them this season in terms of their growth and maturity?
sometimes I have to remind myself these are 25 and 24-year-old young men who we can be highly critical of because they are elite at what they do. But I think what we've seen is this incredible step for both of them in terms of their playmaking ability, in terms of their prism of the floor widening, in terms of their quickness through their progressions. They're just faster, they're smarter, they're more experienced. And I think with Jason Tatum, who idolizes Kobe like he does, what you saw was a superstar in a Game 7 on the road, make just enough plays and shots to get his team over the finish line. Folks, that's the stuff of legend. And at 24 years of age, who knows what's coming?
ESPN analyst Doris Burke, PC legend, joining us here. Thank you so much.
And thank you, as always, to Doris for the time. Great talking with her. So there you go, Celtics and Warriors in the NBA Finals. This is a point the C's in early January may have thought they wouldn't get to. Boston was under 500, going through growing pains, and the players themselves even had questions about whether they could put it all together. But Jason Tatum and the C's continued to grind, and here they are tonight in the NBA Finals.
Were there, moments that were tough, right? That was just it was very frustrating and, head scratching and all those type of things. But, just always stick to what you believe in and trust in the work that you've put in. It can't rain forever.
Well, the rain stopped and the Celtics have shined since. And it's all led to tonight. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Celtics and Warriors tip off at 9 o'clock. You can watch it right here on ABC6, the entire series here, too. By the way, Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy are out tonight for the broadcast team because of COVID-19. Tonight's broadcast crew, Mark Jones, Mark Jackson, and Lisa Salters. It is the first all-black announced team for the NBA Finals. Pretty special. Couple of college hoops schedule notes out for today, next season, I should say. John Rothstein of CBS Sports reports that Providence will host Merrimack on November 12th as part of its non-conference slate next season. Bryant officially announced it's set to play at Syracuse on Saturday, November 26th. The Bruins announced the re-signing of Juna Koppanen Thursday to a one-year, two-way deal worth $750K. The 24-year-old from Finland played 62 games for the P Bruins this season, tallying 11 goals and 19 assists for Providence. Yankees and Angels trying to get a doubleheader in Thursday in the Bronx. The Pinstripes had the bats ready to go against Shohei Ohtani. Bottom first, Matt Carpenter goes deep to right solo shot to make it 1-0. A few batters later, Gleyber Torres with number 10 on the year for him. He's been hot lately. Solo long ball the other way, 2-0 Pinstripes. And then bottom third, Aaron Judge gets a hold of one off the dynamic righty Ohtani and sends it out to left, his major league leading 19th homer of the season. Yankees homer 4 times and win 6-1 the final. Game 2 is tonight. The Red Sox are off. We're all talking about basketball.
Yes, we are. But what a fantastic conversation with Doris Burke.
She's awesome, isn't she? I love that she talked about emotional stamina with the Warriors. I think that nails it because you can play all the defense you want. Those guys will run up and down the floor. That's going to be a big challenge for the Celtics in this series. We'll see.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you after the game tonight.